Please note that this episode contains mature and potentially triggering subject matter.
My mom used to tell me I was a born performer. Whether it was cheering on a team, taking a bow in the school musical, or lighting up the eyes of campers with ghost stories, I've always known how to put on a show. As I've gotten older, though, I've started to wonder who that show was for. Everyone else? Or myself? This is The Crime at Camp Ashwood. Episode 11, June in July.
I'm so glad they keep letting the three of us bunk together.
Well, it would be pretty crappy of them to split us up. They know it's the only time of year we see you.
Still, Mary Casey and Ellen Lyons got put in different cabins this year. Could have been us.
Wouldn't have ever been.
Your perpetual confidence astounds me.
I put in a very strong word with Mr. and Mrs. McKenzie when I saw them at the Walgreens a few months ago. Actually, I make a point of doing it every year when I catch them. We pay to go here. We should get what we want out of it.
You're brave. I've always thought they were kind of intimidating. Him, at least.
No, total softies. I don't think they love me telling them what to do, but doesn't mean they won't listen to a professional convincer like myself.
A professional what?
I know what I'm good at, okay?
Oh shit, it's past curfew. Shh. Okay. Shh. No, stop.
Good evening, ladies.
Sorry, June. We just got excited. First night of camp and stuff.
Of course you are. Plus, it's your first night in the senior girl cabins, which means you should be extra excited, because I have a new camp tradition to teach you all about.
What?
Oh, do tell.
It's not totally camp sanctioned. More of a bonus designed by me addition to our already robust Ashwood tradition. There's a campfire going outside. Care to join me?
Love a burnt marshmallow.
I've never seen someone just shove their stick into the fire and torch it like that.
That's what she said.
I'm more of a lightly toasted girl myself.
Well, that takes too long. Lowers the number of total s'mores consumed. I say burn the motherfuckers. This is a good tradition, June.
This is just the appetizer, actually. The main event is something I call Midnight Mystery Hour. Anybody here scared of ghost stories?
No, with a capital N. This has been the one thing camp was missing all along.
Then I guess it's time for me to introduce you to Misty Willis, a cheerleader at Asheville's most prestigious high school with a flair for the dramatic, who'd fallen in love with a quarterback named Ron Kentwood, RK. They had a picture-perfect teenage romance, until one day something in RK broke.
Broke?
Misty had forgotten to meet him after the homecoming dance, behind the school dorms where she said she'd be. She was out with her friends, maybe sipping on a flask of whiskey that had been smuggled in, and lost track of time. So she was late, really late, when she finally met him behind the dumpsters of the cafeteria in the dead of night.
Eric, I'm sorry. I thought we said midnight. That's bullshit. You said you'd be here an hour ago, and you know it. Why would you lie to me?
I'm not lying. I just forgot. She told him she was sorry, but he just lost it. Lost himself. At first, he hit the dumpsters, yelling about how she must have been sneaking around on him with some other guy. He was so unhinged, it scared poor Misty half to death. She cried out for him to stop, but he didn't. When he hit her, the force of the blow was too much. It took the life out of her.
He killed her that fast?
That's awful.
And she's been haunting these grounds ever since.
Do you remember the Misty Willis stories?
Of course.
The guy in them. Ron Kentwood. RK.
Yeah, I know.
She was talking about herself that whole time, wasn't she?
All the ghost stories were domestic violence related. I never even thought about it before.
She was telling us.
We were teenagers, Margot.
I know, but...
Let's just get down to the station and see if we can figure out where this guy is now. Or where June...
Wait. The story June told was Misty and Ron, who met at Asheville Prep. Did Rick Klein go to high school with June?
We could find out.
How?
Asheville Prep is still running on the old Ashwood campgrounds. It was a high school long before it was camp. We could see if they have any alumni records.
I haven't been back to Ashwood in 20 years. Kind of thought I'd never go again.
You're gonna need to make a left up here.
I'd always been a good kid. Good grades, popular, with a list of extracurriculars that could have gotten me into my dream college, if I'd ever had one. But what I wanted was to run off to New York or LA and find my name in the lights of Broadway or on the lips of paparazzi. I wanted to be seen. And then Rick saw me. It felt perfect. Like fate had stepped in for me early. Only really, really lucky people get to meet their soulmate when they're 15, right? We came from the same backgrounds. Our parents were thrilled that we got together. He was charming, always knew what to say and how to say it. And I had a knack for the same, spinning stories. So, it was like we had something in common. Now, I'm not saying it was perfect. We were teenagers, we fought, and Rick had a temper. I'd seen it a few times, but at 17 it seemed more like passion than danger. I still had a lot to learn. We broke up and got back together a few times over a difference of opinion. He said he didn't need some big fancy dream in a city in some far-off place. He had me, and I had him. For a while, I thought he was wrong.
Wow. Blast from the past.
Welcome home. Still looks the same, right?
Like the land time forgot. They still have the cabins, too.
Use them as extra dorms for the older students during the school year, I think. We can reminisce more later. Let's go see what we can find.
I can't believe she just left us in here.
School secretary working in the summer? She doesn't want to be here. Everyone else is on vacation. Plus, I showed her my work ID.
Well, it's not like you're a detective.
Says who?
Fair.
I've got a couple of 90s yearbooks here. And there's what we guessed already. They were in the same class. And he was, indeed, the quarterback. Look, here's them on the field together.
They look like a rom-com if you don't know about the twist at the end.
Is there anything recent? Maybe school newsletters that would have alum updates.
You are kind of a detective, huh?
Been watching them work, or sometimes not work, for a long time.
There's a lot here. I don't know. Wait. Oh. Alumni Wedding Watch 2007. Look at these pictures. Her dress is stunning, but wow.
Fuck.
In a double alumni wedding, Mr. and Mrs. Klein celebrated their union on July 24th, 2007. The couple plan to live in Saluda, North Carolina, where Mr. Klein will teach math at the local public school.
Saluda's not far, and it's tiny. I wonder if they're still out there.
If she's out there with him, I don't think she's safe.
Got a phone number.
No point in waiting.
What if Rick picks it up?
Hang up.
I tried leaving once. Took a train to New York and got a room in some rundown apartment on the Lower East Side with my tiny savings. Went on a few cattle call auditions. Felt invisible. So I came home and decided that instead of running off to chase some pipe dream, I'd go right back here and stay in North Carolina forever. And I'd win Rick back while we both worked as counselors during that summer in 2003. It worked, but not in the way that I'd planned. The owners of Camp Ashwood fired me in the dead of July, right in the middle of summer, and the day after Sadie Cameron died on camp grounds. Sadie had screamed at me on the last night of her life, out of what seemed like nowhere. I didn't understand until I was told that an anonymous person had complained that I was breaking camp curfew and scaring teens in the cabin with my ghost stories. Sadie had always seemed like she loved those nights, but maybe she was putting on an act. Either way, I thought that it had to have been her. Rick picked up my pieces. He was so angry at Ashwood for letting me go and Sadie for betraying me with this report. I thought it was so romantic until I realized after years of living with Rick that he was angry about absolutely everything. That those flashes I'd seen when we were kids weren't flashes at all, and I had the scars and bruises to prove it. But by then, I was stuck. Hello?
Can I speak with June Klein, please?
This is she. Who is this?
Do I tell her it's us?
Or tell her it's the police.
Not yet. June, this is Veronica Hughes. I know it's been a really long time, but I'm here with Margot Engel at Ashwood Prep, and we had a few, Are you home alone right now?
Well, Veronica and Margot, it's really nice to hear from you after all these years, but I'm not sure.
Are you home by yourself, June? Is Rick there?
Is there a reason you want to speak with my husband?
We want to ask you some questions, and just thought it would be better if Counselor Klein or Rick wasn't there.
What did you find?
We just have reason to believe that he might not be who you think he is.
I know who he is. And he's on his way home from work in about an hour. Don't come here, girls. And don't call again.
June. Fuck, she hung up. Come on, let's get to the car and go to Saluda. We could beat him there and talk some sense into her.
We're not doing that, Margot.
Well, what the hell else are we going to do now that we know all this? We have proof right there in Sadie's journals, and
we have close to proof, but not a confession or a real account of what happened that night. As much as I'd like to be a detective, I'm not one, and neither are you. I'm not risking both of our lives driving down there. We need to talk to the station.
The people who've let it sit for 20 years? No. You're crazy.
There's a true alternative to Paul. There's plenty of evidence to get the case going, plenty of reasons the department would listen to us. We found what we needed. You found it, Margot. Let them take it from here, and finally take this guy down.
And what about June?
I guess I've known the truth for a while. I tried to come up with alternatives and dance around what my gut had known for years, to convince myself that I hadn't spent my life with someone who would. But when I said I know who he is, I meant it.
You think they'll bring him back?
The way they rushed out of here, I think they'll try. I need to call Paul and let him know.
Oh, about Paul. On Sadie's list of people she'd slept with, both he and Rick had stars next to them. I think it might have meant that...
Probably for people she had crushes on. Right?
Yeah. You know what? Probably. Holy crap. They got him.
What I do know is that Rick keeps a locked box in the attic of our house and carries the key on a chain that goes with him wherever he goes. I've thought about waking up in the middle of the night to snag the key, climb up there and see what's inside. But a big part of me has known that I couldn't deal with whatever it was, that I only wanted to know in an imaginary sense, so I could keep up the show that's become my life and not blow it up with evidence. I'd like to think that if all of this happened now, that I'd have the wherewithal to report it, to be like those women who come forward with their stories on the news, to be able to risk the doubters and the internet trolls and the inevitable scarlet V for victim label I'd have assigned to me forever. To be brave. The girl who tried to go to New York and follow her dreams might have been able to do it. The one I turned into when I turned around with my tail between my legs and came back home just couldn't. But I'm gonna try to make up for it now. I'm so sorry I couldn't do it sooner. And I'm especially sorry to you, Margot and Veronica, for not being able to really talk today. I would have loved to see you and meet the women you've grown into. But if I'm being honest, it makes me think too much about who Sadie might have become, and I just can't face that. I'm sure once you all open that box and find out what's inside that there will be a lot of questions. I hope most of them are for Rick, but if you have some of them for me, I'll try to answer them. Look me up if you need to. I'm gonna try it in New York one more time. See what happens. Sincerely, June.
If you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, support is available. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or the National Sexual Assault Hotline 1-800-656-4673. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Crime at Camp Ashwood. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. If you'd like to support this podcast so we can keep making more episodes, click the support link in the show notes. To learn more about this and all our projects, visit our production company websites, dragonhunterproductions.com and newgirlpictures.com.